Welcome everyone to the February 2026 meeting of the Wildfire Safety Advocates here in Waikōloa Village. The first thing we were just talking about, the 2021 evacuation study, and we can finish that conversation, go from there. And I want to then get to the follow-up about the documents request there. So we're on the thing. So that happened. When was the actual meeting?
January 9th.
January 9th. And it was here in the village. It was over at the banquet room. How many people were in attendance overall?
I was there.
Yeah, was the room pretty crowded?
Yeah, it was pretty crowded. I would
like
say about
80.
80,
Oh, yeah.
85%.
Yeah.
Maybe 90. You know?
How many people do you think? 50 or 60?
Yeah, I guess.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really do a hit count, but
Okay.
Okay, well, everyone wanted to talk about the road, and that is not what the county wanted to talk about. And Merrick made some misrepresentations about the actual contract, the PUD number 73. So that prompted two things. Also at the meeting, someone asked a question, someone from the crowd asked if there was an after action report for the 2021 evacuation due to the Monroe Road fire. And Talmadge, the civil defense administrator, said, yes, there is such a document available upon request. I immediately requested it. He said, sure thing, right on, Matt, I'll get that to you. And then a week and a half later, he emailed me and said, actually, I've misspoken, and that does not exist. So I came back on that. And I said, okay, well, I'm surprised that such a document doesn't exist. Maybe it's in draft form or something like that. Maybe I did not use the right terminology for it. So I went and drafted a very extensive UWIPA request that has asked for all of the communications, all the emails, all the text messages. It's asked for all the incident command system reports that are required for FEMA reimbursement, all of the documents that are associated with the 2021 evacuation I requested. And I requested it from the fire department, the police department, the IT department, the state department of transportation, county civil defense, and state civil defense. And the purpose of that is presumably all of them were talking and all of them were writing down things. We're going to be able to cross-check and see exactly what's going on. And I have heard back from several of them who had first expressed alarm to being asked for such a broad request from multiple, when they thought that they would be providing duplicates. But as I have explained it, they have understood what we are doing here. So they've all also said this is going to take a while. I believe them. I'm sure there's a lot of documents hidden across different filing cabinets and different email accounts and whatnot. But they're working on it, and we should have a much clearer understanding of what happened in 2021 in a month or two.
Well, maybe.
The
point, what we're looking for is any type of after incident assessment, analysis, any type of how did it go, what worked, what didn't, from the 2021 Monroe Road fire evacuation. I really hope something exists. And then we would pass that on to the company doing the evacuation traffic study to add to their data pool that they're looking at. But it's really possible it didn't happen and nothing does exist. So we have to wait and see.
The way that I phrased this, I think that something's going to come up.
I'm not saying you won't get emails.
Yeah.
But whether there'll be some type of summary.
I don't know.
Maybe not.
Well, probably not. Well, we don't know exactly what was coming down the pipe. So I have also been keeping the fire marshal in the loop on all of these requests. So she knows and has acknowledged that we're doing this. So she knows what's up there. So that's good. And we'll see what comes out of it. I have no idea. But something will. A few of these agencies have sent back notes that indicate there's a lot of documents, and this is going to take them a little while. So I suspect that something is going to pop up.
That would be good.
We'll see.
Okay.
So yeah. Okay.
Next is the outreach to KLD Associates, which is the company doing the evacuation study.
Yes.
Kind of, yeah.
So KLD Associates, they are a professional organization. Their lead engineer who is doing the actual computer part of the study. She is a professional engineer. That is a serious thing. That's like being a board certified doctor kind of. And so that means she's had a lot of experience. She knows what she's doing. I'm going to trust whatever the actual output they give is. I'm concerned about the inputs that they are going to be feeding into the model, however, based upon the RFP from the county. And we were told that members of our group have been told in direct conversation with civil defense on multiple occasions that the second road would be included in any modeled scenarios going forward. Well, we all know now that that is not true, that that is not currently within the scope of the study in the model. And we disagree with that vehemently. And so I made a specific outreach to the representative from KLD who presented here in the community, and civil defense and planning, and I included our council member in the communications as well, requesting that they add a second road and using the justification of the CDP, saying that legally you are required. That's our wishes. That's what we have said as our community is our priority. Any plans moving forward need to have that included in it. And so we shall see. We have not gotten a response back to that communication.
I will say, there's an article that just came out yesterday from Hawaii Business Magazine about Waikōloa Village. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but they interviewed Rebecca Cohen from the traffic study company. And the very last sentence of the article, she said something kind of encouraging. She said basically that she heard the community asking for the second road and that she thinks we will be happy with the results of the study, which I interpreted as the study might say, listen, this community really does need a road. But I'm sort of reading the tea leaves there. She didn't actually say that explicitly, but it was an interesting nugget. It's in Hawaii Business Magazine. And we will.
Business News or the newspaper or the magazine?
It was published on their website. We don't actually know where all it's going from here, but it's the lead story. If you go to hawaiibusiness.com, it is the lead.
Yeah, why Waikōloa Village's wildfire risk rivals and may exceed Lahaina's. And from Hawaii, it's the cover story right now on the Hawaii Business Magazine website, which is a great spotlight on our community.
They quoted 4 different people in the article, 3 at length, one being Rebecca Cohen, one being Rob Lee, the State Department of Transportation's representative here on the Big Island, and the third being Aslan. So they got a very clear perspective of what's going on. So
I think they talked to James Eustace briefly for the article.
they quote him?
Yeah, just one time.
Yeah, well, James, and then also Elizabeth was big in HWO.
Have you seen it yet?
5 people.
I saw the link, I know.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that's that.
So yeah, we'll see. We aren't really sure if we're gonna get a response on it. We asked if it'll cost money for a change order. We made a justification. We could do a follow-up. I don't know if anyone's got any suggestions there. But we did do that outreach to KLD Associates.
Any questions about the evacuation traffic study?
Have you all taken this survey?
Yes.
I've taken it
Thank you.
twice,
Well, why did you do it twice?
because when you get on the site, they're not paying any attention to who's already taken it.
Hmm.
They might be tracking IP addresses on the back end, but I don't know. We'll see.
They let me take it twice.
Let's just say it's twice, fair enough. Well,
And
they're not encouraging that behavior, and we don't want to, but they did have good response. They actually did try to close it down a little early because they had sufficient response. But another member of the WVA Firewise community, Mary Schrampke, reached out to them and asked to keep it open, and they are doing so. So it is going to be open. So if you have not done it yet, please go ahead and fill out that survey. The more information they get, the better.
What do they need by sufficient response?
There was a cutoff. They said that they needed at least 300. And they had gotten there with a month to go, so
It's at 3:30.
It's
330, I'm sorry,
3:30.
330. So,
But I want the
But that was a
3,000.
statistical minimum for having a study that they felt would have some statistical validity. But that is such a small sample of our community, that's only 5%.
Yeah.
So to accept 5% as being representative of our community, I think leaves a lot to be desired.
I know exactly what you mean, that sample size, right, but the sample size is just whoever the scientist.
Mhm.
So it may not reflect. Right. A truly statistic, they're not the same.
I think there'll be large.
A statistic.
There are two questions on there that are so open-ended. That you can interpret the answers to them in any way you want.
That's
I mean, I
Probably
don't
what
know
they
who
want.
made up the survey, but
Make
they,
it sound worse than it is. Just make it sound worse than it is.
Yeah, there's also probably large portions of the community, anyone that has English as a second language, that's not being reached out to, and they also are probably the ones that are going to be the hardest to get out and evacuate, because they may not hear or get the warnings, so. But we'll see what comes out of the thing, I'm sure they are scientists who, engineers who have been studying this, and I'll be very interested to read the report when it comes out. So that is happening. The last bit of new business that happened, we were very fortunate on January 31st to get a personal visit from US Representative Jill Jakuda here in the village. Bob and I showed her around the north end of the village. I emailed her office on Monday. They called me on Wednesday. And came on Saturday. But it was timed. I knew she was already coming to the island for her talk story of Waimea. So that's why I timed it to request that. I asked for 15 minutes. They offered us 20 and they stuck around for 30. And there was no promises made beyond making some phone calls. And we are hopeful that those have happened, but we don't know, honestly. But it went really well. I don't know, is there anything else you want to report out of
It
the
was great.
tour?
Well, I think from my perspective, what was most important was that once she got on the ground up there by the skate park and looked around and saw all the new housing in development, her personal response, without any prompting from anybody, was, oh my God, all these people, these are the people who are going to be stuck in the case of a fire. We've got to give them a way out. I mean, that was her expression, almost
Almost
a word.
yeah, pretty close.
So I think she deeply understands the situation that we have here. And she also made some comments that revealed to me that she was personally traumatized by what she saw in Lahaina. You know, that's in her district too. You know, the Lahaina is part of her constituents. And she felt that viscerally, you could tell, just by her body language, that when she talked about Lahaina, there was a lot of pain there.
Yeah, and
in
saying,
her expression.
we don't want to do that. again.
Yeah, and she was very clear that
We
she
cannot have
asked to play a role in trying to help us out. How that will play out, we don't know. But I think she's there for us, and that's the most important message at the moment.
So we were able to have a really good face-to-face connection. We met with her down at Kamakoanui Skate Park. So she could see, because right there you see Nanakai and then you see Nahale Makoa, the affordable housing that's coming in. And then we walked to the gate where the road is for the wastewater treatment plant. And we handed her these maps so you guys can see it to really try to illustrate the problem. And then we went up to her town hall in Waimea after that, and she shouted out us again. She said, I was just in Waikōloa Village and I saw, and I was given a tour and I saw the fire risk that you guys have, and you know, we've got to do something. So I felt, and listen, it's an election cycle coming up, right? So politicians can say anything, but we all walked away really feeling like she got it really quick. She was like, whoa, this is really bad. which is all we ever want from somebody in a position to help us.
Yeah, what they say can be scripted, but they can't really script their body language. You know, and that spoke volumes to me.
You walked down that road, right?
I walked the road about 3 weeks ago now.
So I just put up a video on YouTube literally 2 hours ago of the thing. I don't know, do you guys want to just watch it and talk about it? Do you want to see the new cut or do you want to
My
wait?
wife and I went down there the other day to walk down that road and they got this big no trespassing sign.
Oh, yeah. But
And-
if you read the sign carefully, it says no trespassing wastewater treatment plant. So that sign is ambiguous.
Oh.
The sign does not say no trespassing on the road. It says no trespassing wastewater treatment.
He was a lawyer, so I believe him.
So
The
I took that to mean when I got to the wastewater treatment plant, I should not trespass, which I did not do.
So did you end up walking it or?
No,
No,
no, I
because
didn't, you know, because I didn't know what was gonna happen. But it come along.
I
But is that, is, in theory, is if we're asked to evacuate again, are they gonna open that road?
absolutely
Not.
not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's not
Hey,
ready yet.
Theoretically,
Well,
they
they
could do
said
it.
summer of 2020,
The
sometime.
plan,
Yeah.
as reported to us by Rob Lee at the evacuation meeting, was that he would have that road ready for us by this summer. Now, we have to keep track of that. We have to make sure that they keep on that schedule. But Matt and I both sent a message to Ed Sniffen 2 weeks ago, saying, we've heard from Rob Lee that you're planning to have this road open by this summer. We really thank you. This is an important contribution to protecting the health of our community. You're the only public official anywhere in Hawaii who's doing anything for us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So-
That's not true. James got the amendment. That was something. But
Let's talk about that.
yeah, that's later. That's later. I wouldn't say the
Definitely.
only public official. There's a
Okay,
couple.
fair enough, fair enough. No, that's an appropriate clarification. I fully concur.
Okay.
There's no disagreement. there.
Okay.
I think let's go through the agenda and then we could look at the video.
If you want,
of
yeah, it's
some-
clear. As a cable.
Yeah,
If you want to, we can talk about it there.
we can talk about it.
Okay. So, on to old business. Last month, we discussed how we had been drafting a letter to the mayor. And we sent it, we shared the draft with everyone, everyone's seen it in the room, and we ended up, how many signatures did you end up getting at the senior meeting? Like 50 something, right?
It's about 45.
45, 50. We sent it to the mayor with about 45, 50 signatures on it. And he did not like it. He did call me personally, left a voicemail, and then sent the letter that is out there. And then Bob and I participated in a phone call with him and Bill Burlhante that was not productive. The summary of it is that letter, it's the same thing. He delivered that information very clearly. The bottom line is they are now viewing the road as the state's responsibility and not the county's responsibility. And this is a new, this is a new stance that we are just now being exposed to. And we immediately.
Well, and I wanna also say, one of the things that Congressman Takuda said is, well, how much would this road cost? And we said, we don't know. We have a guess, we've heard people guess. She said, you've gotta get the actual cost. James Eustace was able to get $2.5 million added to the capital improvement budget last year to do the design and planning and engineering work that would give us an actual cost. So one of the things in the letter to the mayor was, we are imploring you to use that money. That money was approved last budget cycle. Nothing has happened with it. And then in the letter, he also says, well, that money, those funds, that's just a wish list. That's not guaranteed,
Yeah.
that's not a guaranteed funding schedule for anything. So,
Well, he was more explicit than that on the phone call. He said, I'm not gonna spend that money. Said, we're not spending that money. That money is not going to go towards the road. It was very explicit. And we got conflicting messages during the phone call because the initial response was from Bill. You're gonna wait until the developer has to come up with his commitment. Which will be after there's 276 houses built. And Matt said, well, that could be 20 years from now. And Bill said, well, that's what it'll be. Maybe it will be 20 years from now. And then the mayor's letter says, we're not gonna put any money into it. So I followed up, and this is not anywhere shared with anybody yet. I'm sharing it tonight. But I followed up with an email to Bill the next day. And I said, look, all the conversations that we've had going back to the first meeting we had with the mayor right after he was elected was around the idea that nobody would put up all the money, that we would work cooperatively between the county, the state, and the developer to come up with a funding package that would spread the pain. So that, people, the community would pay some in the county and the state, and we would have an effort here to bring everybody to the table. And the mayor actually asked us at that meeting to put together an outline of what we thought needed to happen, which we did. And subsequently, that was the argument that we made in our testimony to county council, was that the county had to step up first and spend that $2.5 million to come up with a clear plan for what the road would look like and how much it would cost, so that that could become the framework for putting together a funding package. And that when we talked to the county staff, the planning staff, that was their approach, and that they were saying they would approach the developer with the idea of a community development bond that would pay for the road, and the developer would commit to paying for part of that. So all of that was part of the discussion from day one. We have never gotten to the point of saying to the county, it's all yours, you got to pay for it all. The understanding was the developer had a commitment. But then when the developer announced just a month ago to the village board that they were not going to put any money up for the road, just they were zeroing out any commitment, no commitment at all. That was new information. That was one of the reasons why we sent the letter to the mayor, was to say, look, you can no longer count on the developer. The developer is saying they're stepping away from this project. They're not going to contribute a penny. So we have to come up with a new strategy. So I laid all of that out in an email to Bill. I said, what has happened to that strategy? Why is the mayor now walking away from trying to find a way to keep the developer at the table, to make sure the developer contributes to this project? And I said, we have an idea, a strategy for getting the developer engaged again, to bring them back into the project. Would you and the mayor be willing to sit down with us and have a meeting to talk about getting the developer engaged again in finding a total funding package? Right?
Yeah, no, that's literally what your email said.
I
Yes,
mean, that Matt's seen the emails.
I was CC'd on the email.
So I have no response. So that was our approach. I mean, basically what we were trying to tease out of the conversation with the mayor was he really upset about the idea that the county was going to have to pay the whole bill? Was that the issue? Because he didn't say that specifically, but they kept saying, well, the developer, we're going to wait for the developer to pay for it. We're going to wait for the developer to pay for it. They said that 4 or 5 times.
The
during the
developer
phone
is
call.
not gonna pay for it.
Right, but they kept saying this during the phone call.
And they know that.
And Matt pointed that out and said, well, you know, we now have this information from the village board conversations with the developer's not gonna do that. That's when the mayor exploded on the phone call.
That's not what it was specifically it was. It was the
Well-
council thing, but yeah.
Well, it was both of them.
It was both.
I think it was both. But anyway, I was trying to tease out of this conversation whether or not it was just the funding piece ending up entirely in the county's lap. That was the problem that was bugging the mayor. That's why I sent this follow-up saying, let's put our heads together again and see how we can get the developer back to the table. And the fact that we have no response to that proposal tells me there's something else here.
So
This is not just the fact that the county might end up having to pay the whole bill.
And what was your, sorry, what was your question?
You have more follow-up after this, but I think.
So I'm wondering if you guys have an idea of what kind of road you guys want and how do you want it to leave or come and, you know, into the village and out of the village and
Yeah.
what?
That's all in the
Yeah.
county, that's all in the county plan.
Yeah,
That's
so,
all laid out. It's been there since 2008.
correct.
Okay,
We're not asking for anything different than what has been promised
And
to the village for 18
the
years.
specific language of what we are seeking is a 24/7 public road. There's, excuse me, 2 lanes. So you
Dedicated
can go
2-lane
dedicated-
arterial road.
Dedicated 2-lane primary arterial road. And-
Sure.
and
Just
so it's-
like
it's
Waikōloa was.
literally just like
Yeah.
road connecting the village to the Queen K. And I don't really care what the route is, honestly. I have no preference. I'm not a civil engineer. I don't know
So
what
you
the cheapest, easiest, most efficient.
to head down and clean.
That's exactly
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And the
Gotta
point
get out of
is
here.
that we don't wanna just have a road that's only open during emergencies
You
and
want it
it's
just a
only
regular
now.
road, yeah.
The most important part of this is that the fire trucks from the Puaco Fire Station
Yeah.
have gotta be able to get up to us.
Sure,
Because that'll cut
Quicker.
15 to 20 minutes out of the response time to the back end of the village right there. And that could be the difference between life and death right there. The other major concern, and this is the nightmare scenario for everyone, is a fire happening on a school day. And so we need to make sure that the parents can get back up there, or there's some sort of
Yeah.
solution. It can't just be going out. Going out's the priority, obviously,
Sure,
that's what we
sure.
want. First, if we only have a 1 lane, it's going out, right? But that's not,
yes.
that's necessary, but it's not sufficient.
But most of the parents work somewhere out of the village.
Sure.
They don't work here. They've got to come back to get their kids.
There's all kinds of.
Well, and that's what I
Yeah.
said at the evacuation meeting. I said, no evacuation orders keeping me from coming back to the village to get my child,
Oh.
if it's a school day.
Sure.
I will come in and I will get her. And I don't care if I have to drive through a gate. I mean, and I know parents, that's how parents feel.
Right, right.
Okay, so
That follow.
we've had some more happen since the phone call from the letter and the phone call from the mayor and the letter.
So we determined that what needed to happen is this needed to be escalated. So I see Andrea there, you going up protests and yeah, that is a thing we can do. We've been talking about it literally every single month since the start. But protests stop things. Protests aren't gonna get people to come to the table and say, oh yeah, I am now gonna work with you guys. But it is an effective way to stop things, and that might happen at one point in time. But we want there to be cooperation amongst all parties, so we reached out to a lot of people. We reached out to the governor, we reached out to Representative Tarnas, we represent Senator Richards, Fire Marshal Booth, Attorney General Lopez,
Ed Sniffen,
Ed HDOT Director Ed Sniffen,
Takuda.
and US Congresswoman Takuda. And we basically,
Well,
we
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 had to tell
forwarded this
them.
letter.
Now, do you guys know that our mayor is now saying the state is doing this? Have you heard this latest update?
And
As representatives from the state for a lot of
Well,
them.
no, he's not saying the state is doing this. He's saying the county is not
County
doing
is
this.
Well, no, but he also says that between this is a private road, negotiations have been between the private developer and the state Our objective is for the state to construct the road and
Yeah.
assume the liability.
So-
Yeah, that's his objective.
Yeah,
Our
That's, he's
expectation.
not saying
I
the
see.
state is doing this.
that's correct.
We have no commitment from the state.
No, no,
And
That
we
they
will
are
not have-
doing this.
we have no commitment.
And he has no commitment from the state.
No, he does not.
Right.
And
He's
there-
saying he's not.
there is a fundamental flaw with the statement that this is a negotiation between the state and the private developers. Because literally the PUD is an agreement between the county and the private developers. The only contract that is publicly visible anywhere that mentions the second road is between the county and the private developers. They are the parties at the table that are responsible, full stop, no, nothing else. The state has been very clear since the beginning that they would be willing to pay for the intersection with the Queen K. And that is exactly what Representative Tarnas reiterated to us when we spoke. Well, we didn't speak with him. Can you go over that?
Yeah, I can do it.
clarification?
Yeah, I got it.
The camera keeps falling asleep, and I don't know why. Anyways, the state will pay for the intersection. And that is the limit of their contribution. They also have been very gracious in doing this new cut right here, but that is above and beyond their contractual obligations. They are.
Well, it's above and beyond what Tarnas originally said the state would do.
Exactly. And they even introduced a bill into the state capital improvement fund last year, asking for $1.6 million for the intersection. But then they withdrew it before the final bill because, and I have a certified letter from Ed Sniffen stating this, the county isn't ready yet. And that they will release the funds when the county starts doing something. And so what we need to have happen here is we need the county, we need the mayor to include this $2.5 million that's been appropriated by the council into his upcoming budget, which is due on March, what, 1st?
March 1st.
So it's a couple weeks out. So the first and most important thing, so we all need to email him and tell him to do this for sure. He might blow us off. That's why we were reaching to the higher levers and we were saying Representative Takuda, call him. Governor Josh Green, call him. And I can report that I don't know that they made the phone calls or anything like that. But Governor Green did reply to me personally within 15 minutes of sending the email. And he CC'd his chief of staff's personal email address on that. So they know explicitly what is going on. I'm not doing their job for them. I'm hoping they're doing their job. That was late last week. So, give them a week or two and we'll see exactly.
We've gotten some phone calls. but
We're
we
hoping
don't know.
that's that.
Yeah, we don't.
We genuinely don't know. So we all probably need to send some emails, reminding him of it also, but I don't know, what is the next step here? Do you think, Bob? What do you think we gotta do?
Well, I think now that we know we're not going to get a response to my message
Yeah.
last week, that we should share that with the governor this week and see what we tried to open up as a conversation with the mayor. It was not a confrontational message.
No,
It was, let's put our heads together, see how we figure this out. I think the governor needs to be aware that we put that on the table and it's not getting a response. But then, the next steps are, getting something from the council on behalf of the county. We had an 8-1 vote last year to get the 2.5 million into the budget. So we know that we had a positive support from the council generally. And the question then is, how much further is the council willing to go? And there's different ways to think about this. One idea that we've been kicking around is something like a bill. I mean, one of the things the mayor keeps throwing back at us is there are communities all over the county that have one road that need more than one road. And that we can't have a second road because these other communities can't have it. It doesn't make any sense. But one response to that would be to have council pass an ordinance saying the county will put together a survey of all the communities that only have one road. And this is an issue that has been in the county plan for over 20 years. It's flagged as a policy that communities with only one access road should be provided with more access. So that is a policy that the county has had on the books for decades. And one way to deal with that would be an ordinance that says, let's do a survey, let's document these communities, and then rate them by risk. You know, what is the population size at risk? What is the fire risk for each of these communities? What is the potential economic loss to the county if there's a major fire and people are trapped, you know, like Lahaina? Let's rate the communities and set up a program countywide for prioritizing these situations and then investing the money needed to protect the communities. So that's one approach,
Sure, so that's,
but that's a long,
that's a long time.
that plays out over another mayor.
Yeah, that's not a,
That's not something-
that's a good view of things. It's awful.
I know.
It's okay.
But
More immediately, we have 3 weeks until the budget is due. Is there a way that we could circulate a letter amongst the council asking them all to sign, basically demanding that the mayor puts this into his budget? Is that like a thing that we could do that, couldn't we? That doesn't require anyone to sign on or host it or sponsor it. That's a thing we can do on our own.
I think we really need to sit down with James and see what he thinks would be the best strategy for working with his colleagues. You know, what does he think they would be most open to? Whether or not it turns out to be just a message to the mayor. Messages don't necessarily bear any consequence for anybody.
Yeah.
Or does Eustace think we might actually get something more compelling from the council? I think there's a range of ideas that we need to put on the table with him and see what he feels comfortable advancing and seeing whether or not what he's comfortable with is what we think be enough.
Okay. Sorry. Well, I personally invited him tonight. Unfortunately, he could not come. He's at the Mauna Kea stewardship meeting up in Waimea tonight.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure is quite contentious.
But we only gave him 24 hours.
I know, but I think he would have gone to that anyway. So it's a pretty important meeting.
Yes, it is important. I mean, he was committed. So.
Yes,
What is, when that council meeting happens, that was like 8 districts, right?
it's 8-1, yeah. And the last guy sort
What's the
of.
point of them having a meeting, voting on an agenda or a thing, and then not, I mean, why go to those meetings if at the end they're not gonna be able to keep what they put on the table to vote for?
No, I think I wanna ask the county council how they feel about the mayor calling
The shot.
items that they worked to vote on and vet and put into the budget, a wish list. And if that is their same understanding.
It's the equivalent of your Amazon wishes. That's mine. Okay. But the truth is that the county charter and the budgeting process requires things like this to go on with that CIP, to get essentially get identified and vetted out. And the timing might change. Now, the timing is very, if you look at that list, some things happen very quickly. Some things might take a few years, but they're on there for a reason. The reason isn't just, I wanted the latest toy. That's not why they're there. So to Aslan's point, that I think, yes, if I was a councilman, I'd be a little, miffed, okay? That it was, that the mayor thinks so little of council actions, right? Because it did vote 8-1.
They
And
did.
we were there and during the testimony, there were commentaries from these committee, members, community members, council members, that this was important. and
This is
we
a
all
priority.
voted on those.
Absolutely.
Right, and so it, part of the problem that I have in trying to be the strategist in this situation is that I don't understand what the dynamic is internally between the council and the mayor in the county government. I have not worked in this political environment long enough to have a sense of how those pressure points play out and how we can leverage them. And that's one of the reasons why I think we have to have a sit down with James
Sure.
to walk through that.
So the other idea that I have, and they were really coming up to like, what will motivate the administration? What's gonna motivate them to act? Because it's been called out and directed. So what message, what platform do we need to use? And I mean, I hate to say it, but I think social media is gonna be a major part of this. And I have a idea for a video. I've been rewatching the mayor has come to the village twice. And we have recordings of both of them. He came once last March for a big talk story at the school that many people attended. And then he also came during the campaign for a talk story with then sitting Mayor Mitch Roth, a sort of debate, questions, answer situation, also at the school. And at both of those things, gave us directions. He gave us the instructions to go before council, go work with council, go reach out to the state. We've done those things, right? And we've come back with the results, and now he's saying, oops, not my problem. I think we can call that out directly, and I can play the video of him telling us to do that, and then I can play the video of us in council right next to it. The next one that he said multiple times, both back in the campaign and last March, is that these documents, they're really complicated, that he was gonna send them off to corporation counsel, to his lawyers right away, so that they could start reviewing them and reading through them and understanding what these PUDs actually say to them. And when Mayor came out to the evacuation study in January, I wasn't in the room when he said this, but apparently he told everyone that same thing again, said that these documents are really long, they're really complicated, we gotta review them more. They're like 29 pages long, and they have 11 months, they haven't had
13 months in office.
13 months is not enough time to really understand a 29-page document that has literally one paragraph concerning the second road. I don't believe that. I simply don't. And we can hold that up. I think we can demonstrate that. And I can do this in 30 seconds.
Let's
on a
read this
video.
pretty.
Yeah, so anyways, I don't know what everyone thinks about that, but that's where my head is at right now. The other thing that I wanted to just sort of test run in front of you all is the breakdown of the responsibilities in different highway funding schemes. Because this question has popped up a lot, and now apparently the mayor is also confused about it. And the way that it's been constructed in my brain is that the federal highways are always going to be interstates. They're going to be things that go from one state to the next, from California to Arizona, from Georgia to Florida, whatever. They also would probably contribute if it impacted military readiness. But those are probably the two reasons in which they would give him money. The state pays for highways that goes from one city to the next. The Queen K, Highway 19 down there, that goes, or Highway 90, sorry, that goes from Kona to Kauai, right? That's a state highway. The upper road, Mauna, that goes from Waimea to Kona. That's also a state highway. Things that only service one community, Ali'i Drive, Paniolo, Waikōloa Road, Hulu, all of the roads that we all live on, those are all county responsibilities. This road that we are all concerned with only services our community, will connect our community to the county highway. to the other road down there, or to the state highway, I'm sorry, down below. And then it goes on to other places. But from that state highway up here, it is just us. And that means this is a county responsibility. Does that track? Does that make sense?
It's very straightforward, in both the state and the state constitution and the
Yeah.
county ordinances.
Yes.
It's not ambiguous.
No.
I don't understand. I don't know how far the mayor thinks he'll get with this, you know. We're not gonna pay for it, but we have to do something.
Well, guys, I love all of the effort to say, how do we problem solve this and use very logical approaches, okay, to try to solve this problem. I don't think the mayor has any interest in solving it.
No,
It
that,
starts,
I agree with you now. I agree with you now.
that I don't think he cares, whether that road happens or not. Okay, and so he throws out a variety of objections of, things that are apropos of nothing, okay, excuses, deflecting the responsibility away from him. He doesn't want this road, he doesn't think it's worth doing.
I think it's worse than that, David.
Well, it may be.
I know, and the reason why I have suspicions about it being worse is that the initial conversation we had with him in his office back in December of 24, there was no indication of the attitude that's being communicated now. Of, no, we're not gonna do this, no, you're not gonna get another road, no, I'm not gonna spend county money on it. Even if you put it in the budget, we'll spend that money. That message was not the message that we received when we had our first attempt. Something has shifted.
I think that it's just a giant price tag and that he looks at the budget of the county, he says, we don't got money for that, and we've done
I
it.
don't think he takes like a little piece. The
Well, he's
community
made-
is not important enough to make that investment.
And he's made comments lately saying, essentially, this might be verbatim, don't you guys have enough? You have Waikōloa Road, you have Hulu Road, you're about to get a new comical emergency route. That's more,
Which he both has no.
that's more than a lot of other communities, you guys have enough. He said that, and I have screenshots, because my jaw hit.
No, in this letter,
New position to that.
You said that in the letter,
and he says this in the letter, he lists it out, he did it in the phone call, he listed them out.
got your parks, you got playground, you got improvements.
We don't have, we have only two roads. We have Waikōloa Road and we have Hulu. This other road isn't finished and we should not jump ahead of ourselves. Because Ed hasn't finished his bit and he never committed to doing it end to end from Comico Park to Queen K.
And
And the mayor is saying he doesn't want any part of it at all.
And there is a middle zone. Hey, let's switch over to the video at this point, because this is frustrating on that part.
What percentage of county taxes are paid for?
That's a great question.
That question.
I think it's pretty damn high, isn't it?
Well, we presented testimony at the county council hearing that summarized the revenue stream from this community over the since 2008, when the road was put into the plan for the first time. We estimate that the total revenue from this village was between 300 and 350 million over that time horizon. And of that, you have to allocate, the county budget breaks down as roughly 60% operating budget and 40% capital improvements, right? So the 60% is roughly 200 million. That is what we have contributed for police and fire and, God knows whatever else, civil defense, all the things that the county does that they get paid for year by year, that we get a benefit from. That 150 million is the capital budget. And if you look at the capital improvements that have been made in this community over that 18-year period, it doesn't come anywhere near 150 million. So we have been a net contributor to the county budget for the last 18 years with regard to capital improvements. And what we were saying in our testimony last May was our annual revenue from the residential properties here, which are roughly worth $5 billion. That's the market value of the residential properties in this community, is on the order of 26 million a year. That's our tax revenue stream. So that what we're saying to you, to the county, is we want you to take 1 year of our contribution to spend on a road for us to save our lives. 1 year of our tax revenues. And you don't have to spend it in 1 year. You can spend it out over 3 years or 4 years or even 5 years.
Just start.
You know, so that it might be only 5 million a year.
So as again, we talk, there's so many different ways to solve this, and there's so many things which point clearly to who has accountability, responsibility, but if the individual doesn't want to accept that accountability and responsibility, take the steps, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's exactly the situation we have.
Yes.
So if Chemo's listening, just tell us, I think he did tell you, I think he told you in your conversation, which you were very kind to clean up. And the letter he wrote, he's made it very clear, he wants no part of the road, he doesn't want to do it. That's simple.
Yeah.
So I think we have to actually get that message out to the Waikōloa Village community and say, what do you guys think about this? And when he came for his talk story last March, he made it really clear. I'm tired of hearing about this. I keep getting your letters. I know, I don't want to talk about this. Well, you don't get a free pass from hearing what the people.
If he would stop talking about it, if he would do something. Okay, and what he's really done today is block every effort that we've made to solve the problem.
Right.
Sounds like a man that doesn't want to solve problems.
Right, exactly. But that's a shift from when we first started communicating with it.
We've had a interesting moment where he spoke plainly and clearly about his position, instead of dressing it up with a lot of words. Guys, and make you think, well, maybe he'll do it.
Well, I mean, maybe you can interpret it that way, but I think there were some things that he said during the campaign, in that meeting here in October, that were much more clear than that.
You gotta walk the talk. It's a walk.
Right, exactly. And what Matt is saying, he wants to put together a video that uses that footage
Yeah.
from that event to say, here's what the mayor promised us. But he's now backing away from that commitment to this community. And what do we do about it?
Absolutely. That's the other thing that I was most frustrated about on both in the call and the letter, is he seems to believe somehow that we are interpreting him saying at some point that he was going to deliver us a road. That is not true, and that is not a thing we have ever claimed at any point in time. What he said in public and what we have recordings of are that he is going to work on it. He is going to do something and try to advance it. And we also have the emails. We have the UWIPA response that indicates that that is not true, and that we actually don't see any progress happening from the county's perspective.
There were
So we
20
can,
emails.
yeah, so we got a few more recently, but like it's not, they're not doing it. It's just not happening. And so, that's sort of where we're at. Let's move on to this video so that you can see what we're talking about a little bit. I just videoed this a few days ago. This was yesterday, literally, actually. That's Nanakai, where they're at. They have 22 frames up right now. They have 8 new pads, and then you can see on the bottom there, those are the 5 houses. This is from earlier in the year. This is from November of last year. How can I do my sense? And I was going back around. I have heard that many people have told me that 3 of those houses have sold, but on Zillow, it still says that they are listed for sale. And on MLS, they're still listed as being owned by the developers. So if anyone knows more about this, please let us know. We definitely are very interested.
That's the realtor told me they have sale.
Right, but they're not listed as sold on the tax map. County tax map right now says that it's still owned by the developers. So at some point in time, those records gotta be updated, but yeah, this is what it looked like literally yesterday, again, so you can see.
Well, they could be under contract and not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, escrow could be going, like, there could be things that are happening there for sure, but I don't know any details about it. So anyways, these are going on, in 1 second, we're gonna switch over to Waikōloa now. It's in the bottom right. This has really progressed a lot. Those look, I don't know what the insides of them look like, but they look move-in ready, from where I'm at, for sure.
I was told they're moving in March, April.
March, April, okay, I heard May, so I would believe it, I could totally see, parking is gonna be a thing, so this is what it looked like back in November, they banged those things out. It was 3 months, and you can see how much of a change it is already. Yeah, it's crazy. And then I skip forward, let me just skip forward to the other road, so this is the road that we were talking about earlier. This is the utility road down to the wastewater treatment plant.
Wait, can you pause it?
Are you,
Oh,
are you starting at Paniolo?
Yeah, this is starting, I'll start back. Start at well,
Very good.
there, so here's the start of the road right here.
Okay.
This is the green part of this map right here, that's Kamakoa Drive, that's the gate. And this road is actually in pretty good condition, someone has upgraded it recently, and it's got a pretty nice gravel base. That looks like it can be finished, so you can see back in November, there were still like tire tracks and stuff, that's not there anymore. It definitely has a new gravel top on it. And like seriously, like that could get paved like tomorrow, I think, maybe not tomorrow, but I'm not a civil engineer, but it looked pretty good when I walked in. Well, there's $2.5 million from the county ready to go, but yeah, that's drivable right now in a regular car, no doubt about it.
Well, I have to say that, to me, that road, since I did walk it, for yes, time, reminds me of Hulu before the chip seal.
Sure.
It's kind of similar.
Sure. It's very level too. It really doesn't go up and down too much. At the end right here, this is where the wastewater treatment plant is. And we're gonna switch over to that in a moment. This is the wastewater treatment plant right here. These are the expansions we want.
So the wastewater treatment plant is right there. And this road is the part, correct me, tell me the truth. This road is the part nobody has claimed any ownership of, to chip seal, to maintain, to pay for, to connect to, to what the state is doing, which is the purple part on the map.
Right, so the map, the purple part is what Ed Smith and the state highway department said they're gonna help with, but that this road, as is shown, it's on the yellow line there. That's really only purpose of land law is for the water line.
Yeah.
For the water service.
Yeah, but it's on county land.
It's on county land.
Until the end where it's on WVA land. This part right here is WVA land technically. Where the wastewater treatment plant is, it's on 19.
Okay, well, there's a 200-foot section there.
Yeah.
That has not been graded.
Correct, oh, absolutely, 100%. So right here up at the top middle of our screen, this is the new work that just happened. And it goes all the way down. I paused for a minute here, so that you can orient yourself. But this is it right here. And then there's a little gap. I don't know, we really don't know. If I was the water company, it sort of goes right here behind the back of their equipment, and then loops through, but it has not been fully finished, grading. Comes over here and it goes up and off into the distance. And I do fly, about halfway down. This drone can resolve down to the Queen K from that point. So you will be able to see
So-
literally the whole thing. And I turn around and then you can see it looks.
Right, this is the section that the state is doing.
Yes, correct,
This
The
is west
correct,
of the wastewater treatment.
correct, this is.
Yeah, this has been graded to 20 feet wide
Yes,
and which is 2 lanes.
correct,
And it is ready for some kind of surface treatment.
maybe, there's like 1 or 2 drop off points still that, I would imagine they would want to level out a little bit more.
It's a dirt road.
It's a dirt road.
Yeah, it's a dirt road.
It's a dirt road, and you can see at the top of the screen now, there's the Queen K up here, you can see the cars going across the road up there, and this is where it exits out up here. And then this is coming, I turned around, and this is going back up the hill.
What is ours? I can swear.
Okay, let me back up for one moment.
Okay, so I have a question.
This is the Queen K along the line here, that's the straight line right up here at the top. It's right below where you are screen sharing, stop share, right up there. Yeah.
Okay.
You see it now? Yeah, that's straight line, that's the Queen K, and then this over here. When you get home, this is on YouTube now, you can see it a lot more clear on a big screen. Yeah. I don't endorse walking the lower half of it because that is all across 5 different private parcels. So I do want to warn you on that. I'm totally legally allowed to fly over it, no problem, as long as I can keep eye on the drone. The lower part, the upper part is the county and the WVA, so that's a little less concerning. But the lower part, these are private lands, so I wouldn't.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So if the fire hit tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning, we wake up to a fire.
Yes,
Will that road take any of us out if we're 4-wheel drive, or can we get out?
that'll take people who are willing to trespass on other people's land in a 4x4 out, is what it is.
That's
So only
for
if,
people who are willing to take that risk.
Yes.
It's not a road to spend.
Yes.
okay, so but I'm talking about life and death.
No, I hear you.
Can anybody get down that road right now to save your life?
Sure.
Let's say
If
fire
you
is
live-
keeping us from going that way.
So-
The answer is no. There's a 20-foot, 200-foot section at the wastewater treatment plant that has a big pile of dirt in the middle of the right of way. You cannot drive over it. That 200-foot section is blocked.
Yeah, I mean, you could get creative and like if you had a 4x4, you could probably make it work, but like. No, it is not legal, we are not endorsed.
Not a bait for the fire, and they're at least.
I hear what you're saying, we cannot endorse the use of a facility that we don't own and is on private property, right? But I can point out that this exists, and I can say that if my family lived up on Paia, we would absolutely have a lifted Jeep. And we would have a bolt cutters in it for sure, but like, that's not what we can say is legal or endorsed. It's not, it's gated, it's pretty rough, it's not marked. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I agree. I think the people of Lahaina would have loved
To know
something
that.
like.
To know that this
would.
exists, this is our point right now, this exists, you can see it, go look on it, and I'm not endorsing going and driving on it, but
I
like,
can show you
yeah.
right here. This is the road into the wastewater treatment.
Yes.
It allows you to come to here. This is a pile of dirt. Right here. You cannot drive over this in any standard Jeep.
No,
And this is a drainage that is part of the Weeper system that is linked to the wastewater treatment. This is open water. This is just mud. Anybody who drives into this is gonna stay there. You cannot get through it with a vehicle. And I talked to one of the workmen. I said, when are you gonna, what's going on here? He said, we're gonna pipe this under the road, because this is where the road will cross. It has to go this way to connect to the section that goes down to Queen K. He said, we have to pipe this. I said, when is that gonna happen? He said, I don't know, we don't have a schedule for that. And it's gonna run, and over years, these trees are growing in the gulch. So they need to get this water from here over to here, underground, because right now it's running on the surface. And this is mud.
There you go. So this is not ready for prime time.
Hopefully by the summer.
Hopefully by the
Deadline
summer it
is
is.
To the community.
But we don't know, so that's why we have to keep up on it, we need to keep up on it to be finished, not just ready for prime time, but ready for 24/7 traffic. And I'm really, really, really thrilled, I wanna be very clear, that the lower part of that road is 20 feet wide, because it was not always going to be.
And I do think we have Ed Sniffen to thank for that, he got it that far.
Now, there's
from the
another
gate.
problem here that doesn't show out here. Can you back up on this?
I don't know, maybe.
Because right over here, on this section of the road,
Not really.
off the side. The road,
That's all I got.
okay, so right over here, this is a big pool.
Yeah.
This is roughly 14 feet above the road surface. This over here is a ditch, is a gulch. It's part of this gulch that runs down there. So right in here is a section where you've got a 14-foot cliff on this side that comes up. And an 8-foot drop off on this side. And leading to that is 2 lanes, is 20 feet graded. And then there's a section right here that's paved and it's only 10 feet wide. And on that side is an 8-foot drop off. So anybody who comes into that in the dark,
Yeah,
is
it's
not
not,
gonna see it,
no,
you're not gonna notice a drop off.
yeah, it's,
And you're gonna have 2 lanes of traffic coming out of the village on 20-foot right away, having to narrow to 1 lane at that segment, which is roughly 250 feet long.
yeah, that's right.
So it is a death trap.
It is not something that people should do. I'm not endorsing driving down this road. It is something that exists. And we are going to continue to push for this to be improved.
It's gotta be turned into a 2-lane road.
Yes, it is, absolutely. And that's what we're hopeful will happen, but we're kind of in a pickle right now, but we also are. We hadn't been in dialogue with the county for a few months, right? They had not been really responding or saying anything, and we weren't really sure where everything stood. So at least
But we
now,
had been given assurances
yeah,
when we met with Bill Briante
back in May,
in May,
yeah,
that things would be happening.
yeah,
And it was only after Neil Acevedo came and met with us here in October. And we asked him a question about what's happening. I asked him, what's happening with the design work for the road? And he told us it's not happening.
right.
That was the first clue that we had, that the commitments we thought we had were not being carried out.
Right.
And then you sent the UO.
Then I sent the whip, and we got everything validated and verified, and the point that I was trying to get to is we had not had a lot of specific engagement for a few months there.
Because we trusted.
Because we trusted them, and now we at least have engagement going on. It might not be the type we want, but at least we got their attention. That absolutely happened. No doubt about it. And so we need to push something in the next couple of weeks here. And
So I mean,
try to
what do you guys want to do?
Yeah.
How are you guys feeling?
What a goal does it, I don't want any more of the private property thing.
I'm just thinking ahead, that question about the private landowners down there, are they aware of any of this? And
Absolutely,
they
they
are,
are.
and are they committed to saying, hey, this might happen?
They're committed to not being liable for anything that happens on it. They're also committed to having access to it in the future, because it enables like development on this land, and like it's a value to them for sure to have it there.
Well, there's one of them who has said they don't want it.
Okay.
They don't want the road, they don't want the traffic.
In their
And they were willing to go along with it as an emergency access.
So that is a complication because there's 5 landowners. Multiple of which have multiple owners, one of which is the WVA, which has 4,000. That is,
I mean,
well, that's an option, and apparently that's been threatened, but that just takes time.
Right.
So that it's way easier to get people to sign off on it, but like it is been a
It's
thing
not a
that's been
quick
floated
process.
and threatened, supposedly very.
Serious, the one owner that said no, is there, did he give a reason, just being obstinate?
I would guess it comes down to money, if I had to guess, but someone's got, you know.
So, do we know what the agreement, my broad understanding was, they agreed to allow the state to cut this road, but there were a lot of like, this is not gonna be a permanent road, you're not signing off on that, you're not taking any liability, you're not agreeing that there could be a permanent road.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's all to the future, we're just allowing this one event, creating this emergency egress road
Yeah.
Correct.
to our property, is that more
Yep.
or less?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, the board got an agreement to sign on behalf of the village, which is the working document. What we don't know is whether or not everybody has signed.
Everyone signed it. The board,
We do know that now?
yes,
Board didn't sign
the
it.
board didn't sign it because we wanted to add, I wanted to add language. I'm, as someone on the board, that says that this is laying the groundwork for a permanent 2-lane road. And they would not do that. So I said, well, let's send our own letter then. Let's say we agree to give you easement rights, whatever you need. But we want to tell you this isn't enough for this community. It's fine. You're working on an evacuation route. Thank you. But that it cannot stop there. It needs to be more. So the board, we sent our own letter.
I see.
It was a
Okay.
very
okay.
contentious board meeting we had actually. 'Cause
That's a piece I didn't.
yeah, and so the other landowners, excuse me, went forward with their version, which they signed and we've seen, and it went to Ed Sniffen, and that is what started the work that they have done on the purple part of the road here.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
that
the
was their
landowners
version.
basically said they're not gonna sue the state.
Yeah.
I just remember in Pennsylvania, Interstate Route 81 went right through a friend of mine's backyard,
Yeah.
50-acre property, cut it right in half.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's eminent domain.
Yeah,
So
oh, yeah.
I through him, we're gonna make this happen, and you know, he got paid, but not probably enough, so.
Sure.
you should have agreed.
Those,
They would have gone around this property.
those tools are available here.
They are.
Because
Maybe something-
declare eminent domain tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. If they declare tomorrow, it would take probably about 2.5 years for the whole
But the
thing.
county has.
But they could, but start, tear the Band-Aid off, absolutely. The main justification we've been given for why the county doesn't want to spend the money in the past has been HRS 343, which are the environmental review laws. They say, I have been in meetings with the previous administration where they say, you don't want any part of that because you don't want to start tearing off an EIS and having all sorts of people come out of the woodwork to environmental impact statement.
They have culvert.
I'm just telling you what has been told told us in the past, is that if you start putting county money, government money into it, all of these environmental regulations will kick in, all of these union labor regulations are gonna start kicking in. It's gonna take forever, and you know, it's just much better to trust the private people to do it. And my response to that at this point in time is good. If it takes longer to make it happen, at least it gets done. If it takes an extra 3-4 years, fine. 3 or 4 years is less than the 20 that we've been waiting from the developers. So yeah, great. I don't care that it's gonna cost twice as much as the government does it too.
And if you haven't read the Second Road FAQ, which I handed out and is on our website, please, if you ever hear anyone in this community say, I thought the developers were going to pay for it, please correct them and say they are not. They are not.
I apologize to.
They have an option to do it, but they will not do it. I have been in a meeting where I have heard from a representative of the developer, we're not gonna do that.
wasn't that part of the deal with them?
No,
No.
no, that's been a lie from day one.
Yes,
It's been a lie that this county has perpetrated to hide behind, to deflect our pressure.
correct.
Say, they're gonna pay for it. That was never in the package.
It has always been an option. There have been two options. The other one probably costs 10% of what a second road would cost. And both of them are tied to phase two, which doesn't start until after 276 houses are complete. So like, it's just sort of like a wishful thinking, maybe it'll happen down.
The second option is for them to complete. Build out in yellow from the school down to Contemporary Park into 4 lanes.
That's nothing.
That's nothing. And it's entirely up to the developer to choose which option he wants. Build a road down to Clean K. Or add some
And
more.
there's no timing.
to-
And-
Between the school and.
Yeah.
And what I was told from a representative of the developer to my face, one of those options costs probably about 5 million, and the other one costs probably over 25 million. Which one do you think we'll choose? We are a business at the end of the day. We have a bottom line. So if one option is $20 million less, that's the option they're gonna go with.
Literally, we've been shouting this from the rooftops from day one. So, but we have confirmation. And
But
it's
please,
verified.
if you believe that, or if you hear that from a neighbor, if this ever comes up in conversation, you say, hey, actually, that's not true. The developers are not gonna pay for it, and the county has been relying on that story for a lot of years.
Yes, and the.
And saying, why should we pay for it?
Continues to tell a story.
Yes.
That they know is not true, unless they really haven't ever read the agreement. Okay?
And that's possible.
They wrote the agreement.
Well, the new.
The language is a little awkward, but you can get to the essence of it, and that's what the essence of it is.
I mean, it's pretty clear.
There, and Matt always points out, well, it's at the, start of phase 2, okay? But even then, there's no date certain.
It's tied to phase 2.
The open-ended.
Yeah, so it could be at the end of phase 2, which doesn't have a cap on the number of houses. Like that could be thousands of houses. It's just not real, is what it comes down to. So that's why we want either a new development agreement or some type of written down thing that says, we're gonna kick in this much money, we're gonna kick in this much money, and it's gonna be done by X date. That's what.
That's all we
see.
want. We want it written down on paper with a date.
Yeah.
And a commitment to money.
And we'll see how we get there.
All right, I think
yeah.
we beat this horse to death today.
I think so. There's one thing that came up that I do want to flag right now. How many of us in this room are members of the WVA?
I'm sure.
All of you, please, 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 please run for the board. I'm not joking. We need some more board members that are aligned with this general vision on the board.
Who's leaving for?
Is David.
Let's wrap up this meeting.
But I'm just
Stop the
making a
recording.
monthly, also on YouTube, we can talk about that afterwards. But please, anybody who is aligned with this sort of conversation, please come talk to us. We would love to have you be putting your hands up to be on the board. So that's the plea that I'm gonna make.
All right, thank you
Okay, thank you
guys.
guys. We're gonna wrap up. Andrea, Michelle, mahalo for being here. Apologies for all of the funky stuff with the cameras. But we appreciate you.
Thank you.
That's okay. Great meeting. Thank you so much. Got a lot of information.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Night.